I feel so conflicted because, on the one hand, each sim that leaves the asylum takes me one step closer to completing this challenge, but on the other hand, each sim that leaves the asylum takes me one step closer to having to be in a situation where I actually have to play as Susan. Returning to the asylum today, we return to Andy's story as he completes the 4th milestone of his aspiration. For this, just as a reminder, he will have to reach level 10 of the logic skill and repair or upgrade 5 items, both of which he is actively working on. As he is a little short on spare parts, he will be making a few outward journeys to go looking for some, but otherwise, Andy is focusing all of his attention on completing these last steps of his aspiration so that he can escape the asylum. Andy is doing this without wasting any time. Just as Andy always does, he is applying himself to this task 100% without distraction. At no point in his search for spare parts did Andy go to a food stall and order a cup of coffee and start chatting to other random Sims, because that's not the sort of person that Andy is. Andy is a hard worker, very dedicated and always overworked, and never has a moment of time for such pursuits as chatting to other Sims or sitting on a park bench and having a coffee that he ordered with money he doesn't have. After some considerable nagging, Andy finally reached level 7 of the logic skill and completed upgrading 5 objects, checking off one more part of his aspiration. However, this was not the time for him to be celebrating by dancing with Susan. He needed to continue working on that logic skill to max it. Increasing Andy's logic skill was a slow and laborious process, but he did eventually reach level 8. Just 2 more levels to go, and then he could finally complete his aspiration. Sitting at the chess table day and night, Andy finally reached level 9 of the logic skill. Luckily, building the logic skill did just mean sitting at the chess table and just playing about, and sitting at a desk and playing about and pretending to look like doing something productive is something that Andy actually excels at. Sometimes sitting at the chess table building his logic skill meant that Andy would have to be subjected to listening to other members of the asylum talk at him. But thankfully they didn't sit there for long, because they found talking to Andy to be kind of a fruitless endeavour. He was quite miserable, uninteresting, and didn't really contribute much to the conversation. And so they left, which allowed him to continue concentrating on completing his aspiration and saved them the agony of having to make conversation with him. As he neared maxing his logic skill, Andy began to procrastinate. Why might he procrastinate at this stage, we might ask ourselves. Does he actually want to stay in the asylum? Or is it just that Andy's so used to procrastinating, he literally can't stop doing it? His procrastination was so painful to witness, it was driving even Elgers insane. But finally, Andy did max his logic skill and checked off the last part of his aspiration, finally completing it. And with this step complete, Andy can now escape the asylum. 1 more inmate free, and only 3 remaining. Andy procrastinates so much, he even procrastinates leaving the asylum, and won't stop playing chess to make the necessary call. Eventually, however, Andy makes his escape. Off he goes from the asylum. It is the end of Andy's story. He's been an uncharismatic and boring character, but his story is over. And with just 3 Sims remaining in the asylum, that means it's time to start someone else's story. And it's no small coincidence that the 3 remaining Sims in the asylum are perhaps my least favourite. And now it's a case of which is least worst. And surprisingly, I find myself landing on Stuart. If someone had asked me some time ago would I pick Stuart in any situation, the answer would have always been no. But when my alternative options are Elgers or Susan, Stuart actually is the better option. And so from now on we will be telling Stuart's story. Stuart's aspiration is a best-selling author, and a reminder that Stuart is of course erratic, he is socially awkward, and he is ambitious. Join us next time as we pick up Stuart's story as he attempts to complete his aspiration and escape the asylum, leaving me with even fewer options of whose story I want to tell. Thanks for watching. There's still an issue with a lot of naked Sims wandering around in this neighbourhood, and I'm not sure what it is because it's definitely not one of the naps that's in place. And not every Sim is naked, just some. Every now and then there'll be naked Sims wandering about out here. It's very odd. Back at the asylum, oh, it's Susan. And she's there by herself, which is a situation we're going to be in sooner than I'd like.